Republicans, led by that little leprechaun over there, Speaker Mike Johnson, are set to face off with Democrats over presidential immunity, specifically Trump's immunity. I mean, we're talking about this as if there are tons of presidents who are going to be wildly breaking the law on a daily basis. But no, all of this is about Donald Trump's criminal acts, and Speaker Mike Johnson wants him to be protected from the consequences for those. He had said after the presidential immunity decision came out from the Supreme Court, today's ruling by the court is a victory for former President Trump and all future presidents, and another defeat for President Biden's weaponized Department of Justice and Jack Smith. Yes, it's a win for all future presidents who would like to break the law repeatedly in full plain view.
A storm is tearing up the digital media industry. Only our audience can save us in these difficult times. Help us reach our goal of 100,000 new members at tyt.com/team.
Congressional Democrats now are working to roll the supposed immunity that the Supreme Court says they should have back. Chuck Schumer has his the No Kings Act that would reaffirm that presidents and vice presidents do not have legal immunity from actions that violate federal criminal law. It would also establish additional legal guardrails, like allowing the government to bring criminal charges against the president or vice president in any US district court. The legislation would also strip the Supreme Court of its jurisdiction over appeals that challenge the constitutionality of the bill. And he announced the bill with this, saying, the founders were explicit, no man in America shall be a king. But the MAGA Supreme Court threw out centuries of precedent and anointed Trump and subsequent presidents as kings above the law. That's why I'm introducing the No Kings Act to crack down on this dangerous precedent. Obviously, Mike Johnson, virtually every Republican in the House and the Senate opposes this, because for all that they bleat about being anti-elite, they want Donald Trump and others, the richest, most powerful people in the country, to be absolutely immune from criminal consequences for their illegal acts. Brett, what do you think?
It's just so sad. It's just so sad that this has happened. Like, I don't want to have laws like that. I look at a law like the one, like the No Kings Act, and I hate it. But the reason I hate it is different from the reason Trump hates it. Trump would hate it because he can't break laws anymore. I hate it because it's like the most clear incarnation of what's wrong with him. What's wrong with where America got under Trump.
Yeah.
Because like, there is a way to try a president and convict him. It's the impeachment process. And in times like Nixon's, even then when he was so corrupt and horrible, the threat that people on both sides of the aisle would be like, you gotta go, got him to resign, right? And it wasn't weaponized up until much later. It got really bad. Now, there's a lot of people that hate the artifice of the, of people being like, oh, I'm so DC and this is such a sacred location, the rotunda. But like, it is sacred and you should have some respect for the office. Trump had no respect for the office. He tried to do things that despots do when they end countries like America. And because of that, we're in this horrible situation. And little simp boys like Speaker Mike Johnson, whom we've also seen walking around the RNC, trying to sell what look like pamphlets about expensive Bibles to total dupes. Like those guys tuck tail and go, well, we gotta protect the president. And they don't. Yeah. The president should have enough respect for the United States that they don't do stupid crap like the stuff Trump should be put in jail for.
Yeah. And it's you talked about this sort of as a representation of what he's done to our country, but also like to what he's done to the Republican Party, that Mike Johnson just wants to rule as a regular old school Republican that just gets in there and talks about gay people, talks about abortion, but then mostly just passes tax cuts. That's what he wants. And I'm sure they would love if Trump would just stop breaking the law, because it would make it easier for him to get elected. But he won't do that. He just keeps breaking the law, pointlessly breaks the law over and over and over again, does a terrible job of trying to cover it up, makes it even worse for himself. And then because there's no way they can divorce themselves from him at this point, they have to bow down and pretend that it's all acceptable and that this should be fine. And in fact, we're gonna contort our historic understanding of who the president is, how our law and our constitution functions, because that's what Trump has required of us. Because he just won't stop stealing stuff, and he won't stop trying to overturn elections, and he won't stop inspiring people to storm the Capitol and murder his vice president and maybe murder a bunch of Congress people. So I guess the Constitution has to go. And again, you point out pathetic simp behavior. A real person, a real man, Mike Johnson, would stand up for the law, would stand up for the Constitution. But you can't even see that anymore. Your face, your lips has been pressed to the floor at Trump's feet for as long as you can remember.